Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're going to dive into a thought-provoking topic: the potential short-term and long-term impacts on the global economy if World War III were to occur. We'll also discuss how countries can prepare for and mitigate these effects to minimize disruption and promote post-conflict recovery. This is a complex and sensitive subject, so we're going to take our time to provide a comprehensive analysis, including historical examples and real-world scenarios. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let's jump right in. Background information on World War III. World War III is a hypothetical large-scale military conflict that would involve numerous countries and could potentially reshape the global political and economic landscape. While we hope that such an event never occurs, it's important to understand the potential consequences and plan accordingly. To provide context, we'll be exploring past conflicts, such as World War I and II, as well as more recent events like the Iraq War and the ongoing tensions between major world powers, to see how these situations have affected economies and influenced our understanding of potential global conflict. Short-term economic impacts. Starting with short-term impacts, one of the most immediate consequences would be a significant disruption of global trade. Countries would likely impose trade barriers and sanctions on their enemies, leading to supply chain disruptions and a reduction in economic growth. For example, during World War II, the Allied and Axis powers imposed trade restrictions on one another, affecting access to raw materials and consumer goods. Increased military spending would also be inevitable. Governments would allocate more resources to defense, possibly at the expense of social programs and infrastructure investments. This could result in growing budget deficits and public debt. For instance, the United States military spending increased significantly during both World Wars and the Cold War. Inflation and currency instability would become pressing concerns. High demand for war materials and labor could drive up prices, while financial markets might experience extreme volatility as investors react to geopolitical tensions. In Germany, after World War I, the country experienced hyperinflation as it struggled to pay war reparations and maintain a stable economy. Long-term economic impacts. Moving on to long-term impacts, the destruction of infrastructure would require massive investments in reconstruction. This could strain national budgets and divert resources from other sectors for years to come. For instance, the Marshall Plan, a U.S. initiative to help rebuild European economies after World War II, provided over $13 billion, equivalent to more than $130 billion today, in aid to war-torn countries. Another significant issue is human capital loss. War casualties and the displacement of populations could lead to a reduction in skilled labor, limiting a country's ability to recover economically. Societal consequences, such as increased crime rates and mental health issues, could also persist long after the conflict ends. The Vietnam War, for example, resulted in numerous long-term psychological and social issues among both the civilian population and returning soldiers. Lastly, World War III could shift global economic power dynamics. Emerging economies might be able to seize new opportunities, while traditionally dominant nations may struggle to maintain their positions. For instance, after World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as global superpowers, while Europe's influence diminished. Surprising facts. Let's explore some surprising facts about war and its economic impact. Historically, some wars have led to technological innovations, as governments and private companies invest in research and development to gain a military advantage. This could potentially have long-lasting positive effects on the economy. For example, innovations during World War II, such as radar and jet engines, had a lasting impact on various industries, including aviation and electronics. However, non-traditional warfare, such as cyber attacks and economic warfare, could have devastating consequences. For example, attacks on financial institutions or critical infrastructure could create panic and destabilize economies. The 2010 Stuxnet cyber attack on Iranian nuclear facilities demonstrated the potential for cyber warfare to have significant real-world consequences. Another surprising fact is the potential for war-driven mass migration. Large-scale conflicts can displace millions of people, leading to massive refugee crises. This can strain the resources of host countries and have long-term economic implications. The ongoing Syrian refugee crisis is a prime example of the challenges faced by both displaced individuals and the countries that take them in. Finally, while wars can lead to increased nationalistic sentiments, they can also bring about increased international cooperation. For instance, the formation of the United Nations after World War II aimed to prevent future conflicts and promote international peace and security. Country preparedness and mitigation strategies. So, how can countries prepare and mitigate these potential effects? Diversifying economies and trade partnerships can help build resilience against supply chain disruptions. Countries can also strategically stockpile essential resources, like fuel and food, to minimize their vulnerability during conflicts. For example, during the Cold War, many countries maintained strategic reserves of key commodities, such as oil, to prepare for potential supply disruptions. Investing in infrastructure resilience is crucial, as this can reduce the impact of physical damage caused by war. Developing domestic industries and promoting self-reliance can also help countries weather the economic storm during and after conflicts. For instance, during World War II, the United States rapidly expanded its industrial base to support the war effort, which contributed to its post-war economic growth. Enhancing cybersecurity and investing in technologies to counter cyber threats is another essential strategy. As we've mentioned, cyber warfare is becoming an increasingly significant concern, and countries must be prepared to defend against and mitigate the effects of such attacks. Lastly, diplomacy and international cooperation must be prioritized. Engaging in dialogue and maintaining strong relationships can help prevent conflicts from escalating. For example, diplomatic efforts during the Cuban Missile Crisis played a crucial role in preventing a potentially catastrophic conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union. Post-conflict recovery strategies. Once a conflict ends, coordinated international relief efforts should be mobilized to provide immediate aid to affected populations. Rebuilding human capital through education and healthcare is also essential for long-term recovery. In the aftermath of World War II, the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Administration, UNRRA, provided vital aid and assistance to war-torn countries, helping to facilitate their recovery. Encouraging private sector investment and entrepreneurship can help jumpstart economies and create jobs, fostering growth and development in the aftermath of a war. For instance, the post-World War II economic recovery in Japan, known as the Japanese Miracle, was largely driven by the growth of the country's private sector and the expansion of its manufacturing industry. Debt relief and financial assistance from international organizations can also play a critical role in recovery. For example, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank have provided support to countries recovering from conflicts and natural disasters, helping them to stabilize their economies and rebuild essential infrastructure. Finally, peace-building and reconciliation efforts are crucial to ensure long-term stability and prevent a resurgence of violence. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, established after the end of apartheid, serves as an example of how a nation can confront its past, promote healing, and work towards a more just and equitable future. The role of international organizations and collaboration. International organizations will play a critical role in post-conflict recovery. The International Monetary Fund and the World Bank can provide financial assistance and expertise to help rebuild economies. United Nations peacekeeping forces and humanitarian aid efforts can also help maintain stability and address pressing needs in affected areas. Regional organizations, such as the European Union, the African Union, and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, can also contribute significantly to post-conflict recovery by fostering regional cooperation, promoting economic integration, and providing targeted assistance to affected countries. Non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and civil society groups can play a vital role in providing humanitarian assistance, advocating for human rights, and working towards peace and reconciliation at the grassroots level. For example, organizations like the International Committee of the Red Cross and Médecins Sans Frontières have provided essential medical assistance and support to people affected by conflicts worldwide. It's important to emphasize the significance of global cooperation in times of crisis. Countries must work together to prevent conflicts from escalating and to ensure that recovery efforts are swift and effective. The establishment of the United Nations in the aftermath of World War II, as well as its various specialized agencies such as the World Health Organization and the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, underscore the importance of collaborative efforts to address global challenges and promote peace. Conclusion and final thoughts. In conclusion, while the prospect of World War III is a grim one, understanding its potential economic impacts and exploring strategies for preparedness and post-conflict recovery is essential. The key takeaway is that fostering international cooperation and diplomatic relations is crucial for preventing such devastating events and ensuring a more peaceful and prosperous future for all. We hope this in-depth analysis has provided you with valuable insights into the potential consequences of a large-scale conflict and the importance of global cooperation. Thank you for joining us in this discussion. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Until next time, take care and stay informed.